Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fascinating episode of PNSQ Chronicles. My name is Michael Larsen. I will be your host today, and I am excited to have with us a PNSQC regular crack-up, Mr. Jonathon Wright. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. And I know people have called me the automation cyborg, but I'm hoping that can move into this exciting new world of AI, which I know we're going to be talking about a lot in Portland,
yes.
right? I'm geeking out.
Absolutely. And that is certainly going to be something that we're all going to be on. So for those who are curious, I'm going to set the stage here. Jonathon is one of our keynote speakers, and his talk is, and I'll put this in the most captivating buzz way possible, the AI assurance imperative, quality engineering for the agentic era, end quote. Okay, that's definitely an eye-catching title, no question, but could you parse that for me, please?
Absolutely, Michael. So, I started doing a book, follow-up of the artificial intelligence software testing book that I did back in 2020, which is called AI Assurance. It's really focusing on three things. AI assurance, which is the how, why of what are we doing, what we do, testing. And then AI confidence engineering, which is a new principle myself, Jason Arbon's been working on around how do we ensure, let's call them AI-infused systems. This started back in 2020 from a working committee of the 29119 Part 11 standard for testing of artificial intelligence in software testing group. And this has now moved out and expanded. It's now got myself, Tariq, Jana, loads of other people, even Joel, who just finished doing his keynote a couple of weeks back, to more focus on how do we test AI systems in the future and this new concept around confidence engineering.
Okay, cool. So you're saying that quality engineering is basically broken for testing AI, the traditional way that we look at doing QA for AI models and for agentic stuff. So what is breaking? When we say that it's broken, what do we really mean by that? And what happens when we try to apply conventional QA to these type of systems?
So definitely the last 5 or 6 years, I think everyone's been talking about how to test non-deterministic systems. I think we're all pretty familiar with that. Partly what we were trying to do with confidence engineering is actually say that all the stuff that Michael Bolton and everyone else had written was completely right for the systems that were deterministic. And now what we need to do is evolve those thinking. It doesn't matter if you're in one camp or another. It's actually around how we go on that journey as an industry. And it might be under the banner of quality engineering still, but actually, how do we go as a community to refine the techniques and approaches that we used previously to test these now non-deterministic systems, which are getting exponentially more complex? And I think that's where we've been spending a bit of time on this. What is confidence? Because confidence is a bit like when you suddenly ask someone to describe what quality is, or or critical thinking is. Part of it is it can mean different things to different people depending on the eye of the beholder. And I think what we're trying to do with this, which we just published, this confidence asymmetry white paper, is around as code generation becomes commoditized, what will happen with AI workloads is it'll go into verification. It'll go into how do we test that AI code is good enough to ship. Because we've all seen, I'm going to use the word AI slop. How do you understand or even approach exponential code generation, which is increasing complexity tenfold? Code generation's going up. The amount of code that's been written is exponentially growing. So the gap between code generation and complexity, how do you narrow that gap with some kind of level of confidence? And so that's where the manifestos kind of come in. And I know feedback from Alan Page and a few other people in the industry that it's not quite there yet, but it's a principle that's saying, let's take what we built as an industry for the last 50 years and then look at how we evolve that thinking to support us in this new world. Because traditional ML and AI has been going back as far as Turing, the halting problem. These aren't new problems that we're talking about. Information theory. The barriers are we need to be able to test systems that are running, not just check the code. And I think this is the difference between the last 30 years seeing checking versus testing, and automation being the lie that we can automate everything and get ourselves out of problem. That is not going to help in this new world. And this is where I think the human imperative is the really important bit of how we change the way that we add value and value creation in this new world.
So this is funny. As I've been listening to this, I have these follow-up questions, and I realize in your explanation, you already answered the follow-up questions that I was going to throw at you. So I'm going to throw you a curveball if you're okay with that. Do you think that there are classes of AI systems that just simply shouldn't be autonomous, no matter how good our quote unquote assurance models are?
100%. I think we have to do two things. First of all, I've been spending the last few years looking at AI assurance, which is really governance. So I spent a lot of time for the European Commission on the European EU AI Act, which if you've seen the NISA and all the US-based policy documents, you can see that none of them have been enforced. They've been deregulated, and we're in a bit of a state of a flux. Things like military systems, healthcare systems, a lot of people running with scissors. And there's not as much regulation that's enforceable about the use of AI. And I would like to start that kind of moral decision making. We seem to have disappeared from the idea of ethics, bias, drift, which we talked about 10 years ago. And now we've kind of come into, okay, what use cases could agentic do, or agentic workflows do, or autonomous agents do? We're trying to solve a people problem with a technology solution. Still a people problem. Whether or not you're looking at an MRI result or something like that, it doesn't matter. Humans are the most important aspect in the loop. And I think this is the whole point. We're building systems with humans not in the loop. Whereas we used to say data is oil, people are oil. And that's the difference, is the knowledge that you've got within specialist fields, domains, whether that be testing, industry specific, that is so valuable in this new economy. And I think this is where I hope that as testers in an industry which we've maybe not been given the limelight that we deserve, will suddenly flip. And this is this kind of new prediction that we're kind of making, that 80% will be verification and test in the future. Very little will be done in code generation, because that kind of problem's been kind of solved in a way. We're not saying it's completely solved. We've never been able to be the front runners, the superstars. And I actually genuinely believe that this is our time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. And also for everybody who are listening, our whole point to doing these little PNSQ Chronicle clips is to get you excited about coming and joining us for Quality in the Age of Autonomy at Pacific Northwest Software Quality. Got to make sure I'm pointing at the right things. And we want you to come and join us. And we want you to come and hear Jonathon in person. So please look at the register link that's there. But just in case people have gotten their interest piqued, but for whatever reason they can't attend PNSQC, but they want to talk a little bit more with you about some of this stuff, how can they get a hold of you?
You can either go to jonathon.ai and just talk to my AI version of myself. OpenTest, which is what I've been working on, opentest.ai, which is open community to try and share everything that we're doing. And then finally, linkedin.com/in automation. But yeah, feel free, reach out, and I'm more than happy to see you at the event. I can't wait.
All right. Well, thank you, Jonathon, for joining us. And for everybody out there who is listening, thank you for joining us for another episode of PNSQ Chronicles. And we look forward to talking to you again real soon. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Mike.